It's a hot time in Florida. I'll tell you that, especially in New Mexico Beach. It was a lot going on yesterday. There was a budget meeting. They had a budget meeting in the morning. And then in the evening, they had a regular city council meeting. And a lot was covered. I'm gonna focus on the budget meeting today, and tomorrow we're gonna take a good look at the city council meeting, where they brought in the FEMA consultant and advisor, and they explained where the money went. And if this doesn't answer all your questions, then you must be a kook. Okay? It is not possible, says Adrian Drama Queen Welly. He's the city councilman who's been involved in the finances the longest. He knows all about it. I know this because he tells us over and over. He was the city clerk with both Mario Gispert, the city administrator, and Doug Baber, the city administrator, and Al Cathey. So he knows where all the where all the finances are, and he says they're good. In fact, he says he's willing to have a forensic audit, but he doesn't look like he really wants it. I'll show you. As a matter of fact, I've got a lot to show you. I want to show you how WMBB covered the story. You're going to love it. I want to show you, I got to show you the former mayor who got beat, Al Cathey. He's been the mayor in Mexico Beach since 2005. You say, Bernie, there were 2 years he wasn't the mayor. I know, 2015, 2016, he wasn't the mayor. But he was the mayor most of that time, except for 2 years, right? But he lost recently in April. The voters wanted to see where the money went. Now, the three councilmen, Adrian Welly, Richard Wolf, and Jerry Bad Liability Smith, they say just rely on the reports. You'll see. The reports will tell you everything. Where do I get the reports? From Doug Baber. From Mario. From the city administrator, from the staff. Just look at the reports. What do you need to see the invoices for? Why do you need a detailed transaction statement? Why do you want to see the checks? The credit card receipts. Everything's right there. Look, 10 million went there. 75 million went there. Ooh, wait till you see. Yeah, but we want to know details about it. Why? Look, the experts say it's good. But the former mayor, Al Cathey, he is pissed. He showed up to the meeting. He's a public, he can make public comments now. And so he showed up to the meeting, and Mayor Miller recognized him, and he wanted some answers. I'm going to play it for you. I want you to see the whole thing. And as a matter of fact, let's get to it. The videos are amazing. They really are. And I want to know what you make of them. I'm going to look at your public comments. Just tell me if you think I'm reading this wrong. And I'll tell you why the little skit they're putting on. You ready? I'm going to show you why the little skit they're putting on does not answer the question.
Hand caught in the cookie jar? Sometimes bad habits continue even into adulthood. I'm El Saline, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
It's a hot time in Florida, and my friend Ryan can make sure your air conditioning is running at peak efficiency. He could even install a new one, built to a higher standard, American standard. Find out more at pcairrepair.com. Trying to figure out what I want to show you first. I think what I'm going to show you first is what I put together. Why not start with former Mayor Al Cathey, right? That's what you want to see. You want to see what did former Mayor Al Cathey say? He was really ticked off because hold on, everybody be cool. Oh, that's not the right one anyway. All right, hold on. That's not the right one. I want to show you the other one. I want to show you when that's a good one though. Oh, that's really good. You'll see it. But let me show you when Al Cathey came. He's the former mayor, and he wants to know why in the hell people are saying that there's a financial crisis in Mexico Beach, especially you, Michelle Miller. She's the lady who beat him. And she's no politician. She didn't have any experience at this. But she does know that people want to see the damn invoices and the checks and the credit card statements that Doug Baber had, the city administrator, and Mario Gisbert before that. All right, here he is right here.
The city's in a financial crisis.
All right, let me set this up for you.
I heard a plan. It was stated that.
Goodness, sorry. All right. We'll get it here. It's going to be worth it. So this is the budget meeting yesterday. And in this budget meeting, the former mayor showed up. And he basically wanted Michelle Miller to take it back. All right. When she said that the city was in a financial crisis. And the reason, by the way, she says that is because, well, the city hasn't reconciled its bank statements for 2 months because their accountant abruptly quit about 6 weeks ago. And the city administrator, Doug Baber, he abruptly quit, resigned too, and he's out of there. Also, the annual audit is late. And finally, nobody can see the invoices and the checks and and the credit card statements. But Bernie, everybody can see the financial reports. Yeah, that's true. So Al Cathey, damn it, he wants to know why you're saying this. The city got around him $100 million, and the city's got more money in the bank than ever. Why are you saying that? And will you take it back? Here's how it goes.
Public comments, yes, sir.
Yeah, I've anxiously watched these meetings in hopes of learning what this table has proclaimed for almost 2 months, that the city's in a financial crisis. And I haven't heard a plan. It was stated that these meetings were critical to deciding how to correct the crisis that the city was in financially. So I'm here, I want to be candid about my question. I'm here because there's a team of people that worked diligently, blood, sweat, and tears to watch every penny, nickel, and dime this city had. And for someone to sit up there and say we're in a financial crisis, is there something that this table could provide that justifies that statement? Well, I mean, I don't have an appointment at 2 o'clock. I can be here.
He's a friend of former Panama City Beach mayor Mike Pay-to-Play Thomas. They're friends, and they've got the same sense of humor. You see, Al Cathey owns Ace Hardware in Mexico Beach, and this is a morning meeting, and so this is probably 9:15 in the morning. And he asks a question. Now he knows what it's like to be on my side, right? As a public comment, asking public comments or making public comments. You know, you ask a question and they just sit there and look at you oftentimes. Now he gets a few answers, but he says, look, I don't have a meeting until 2 p.m. I got time to wait a while. To hell with the 3 minutes. I'm Al Cathey. That's fine. I need to use that line. I don't have a meeting until 2. So he is funny. He's got a sense of humor like Mike Thomas.
Figure what? I'm serious. This is, if you make those statements, what is it you have that substantiates that?
At the time we were talking about it, we were losing Debbie, I think, or there was some upheaving in our accounting department. So we need to make some changes.
No, that's not so. It was stated, it was on the news, it was on the radio, it was on social media, it was all over our city, that our city was in a financial crisis. It had nothing to do with Debbie. That just further, I mean, it's those people that work so hard to make an established give this city, not only keep it solvent, but to keep it afloat during some very, very hard times. And somebody make that statement. I just think there ought to be some accountability for that. I'd like to know what that is.
I think we need to look at,
The faux outrage is off the chain. I love the faux outrage, standing on the backs of the people who do all the hard work, right? Blood, sweat, and tears to make sure every penny was spent properly. I just want to see the invoices. Where did the money? Do you know that the former city administrator, Doug Baber, who up and quit abruptly, I've told you enough about Doug Baber, and but I want to see what he was spending on the credit cards. Okay, that's because he had a limit, a pretty big limit that he could spend money on. Just want to see it is all. And he had, by the way, he started a nonprofit earlier this year. Doug Baber, the city administrator, called, what is it called? Local government, I don't know. It's like local government consulting or something like that. Administrative services. I think that's it. A nonprofit. Look, go to somebody, will somebody look it up and write this in here? The name of Doug Baber's nonprofit. If you go to sunbiz.org, and then search records, click search records, then search by name of officer, type in Baber, Doug, and tell me the name of the nonprofit that he started earlier this year. Government Administrative Services, Inc. or something, a nonprofit. And all I want to know is, did any of the local governments pay into that nonprofit? I'm curious about that. I'm not even saying that's illegal, but it's a start to where we can start finding out why would he start a nonprofit like that. Sunbiz.org, click search records, click name of officer. It's Baber, B-A-B-E-R, Doug. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the nonprofit that he started earlier this year. But I want to know, was he offering administrative local government services to Bay County? Was Bay County paying him to do that? I don't know. But also, he's not the only one. Do you see the guy with his hand on his chin? That's Adrian Welly. He's the one who knows more than everybody. He was the former city clerk. Now he's a city councilman. And he is the treasurer of a nonprofit that started 12 days after the hurricane called Four Seasons Disaster Relief, Inc. But and you can search that too on Sunbiz, but you got to spell it correctly. It's spelled really weird. It's the number 4 and then O-U-R. The number 4, O-U-R. And then Seasons is spelled Seasons, S-E-A-S-U-N-S. Four Seasons Disaster Relief. Thank you, Ms. Sarah Moon. Local Government Specialists, Inc. That's a nonprofit that Doug Baber started earlier this year. I just want to see, did Mexico Beach put any money into that? That's all. If the answer is no, do you know how happy I am to be able to tell you that it's all on the up and up? If none of the local governments did anything and if it was all done correctly, I don't know what the hell. I can't imagine what nonprofit that is. What charity does that serve? I'm eager to learn. It's the great thing about doing what I do. I learn. Golly, I've learned so much in the federal courts. And then Four Seasons. And see, Adrian Welly's the treasurer of that, and his wife's also on the board of that nonprofit, I believe. And if I'm wrong, I mean, you can look it up at sunbiz.org. I mean, and if I'm wrong, all Adrian has to do, he's got my number and my email. Just tell me, man. I mean, he always talks about misinformation, he says. And remember, any government official who says misinformation is up to something. I'm telling you now, you hear a government official say misinformation, they're up to something. You know how I know? Because nobody has the monopoly on the truth and on the facts. Just ask Fauci. Right? Ask Politico. Ask the 50 intel officers who said there was no Hunter Biden laptop 2 weeks before the election. It was Russian disinformation. Disinformation, misinformation. Look, Adrian Welly's a smart guy, smarter than me am. But he will never debate me on any of these issues. You know why? Because I'll admit if I'm wrong. He won't. He'll say misinformation. And time will betray you. Yeah. Nobody has a monopoly on truth. And anybody who says misinformation claims to be infallible. And you're not. So, but he also has a nonprofit. I'm just wondering if the nonprofit got any money and where it went. Simple. There would be no questions if we could see the stuff everybody's asking for. Instead, you'll see, they put on this whole play. They put on a big skit where Adrian Welly feigns outrage and walks out. Remember, he walked out of the meeting and then Jerry Bad Liability Smith walked out after him. And then later on, Richard Wolff wouldn't come to a meeting until the regular meeting was scheduled. They all went on a mini strike until their demands were met, and they were. And now they've got this whole routine, this whole act, where the director of Adrian Welly's nonprofit comes up to the podium and pretends to be an ordinary citizen talking about how honest they are. Where WMBB has, and you're going to see it tonight, WMBB has a Mexico Beach resident saying that we don't want tax relief on our property taxes, but they don't tell you he's a member of the planning board. This is a gigantic play, and everybody has their part. Sometimes you got to play outrage. Sometimes you got to play confused. I just can't believe you made that call to the accounting company and got Debbie fired. I just can't believe it. You overplayed your hand on that one, too. That's how I figured it out. All right, let's get back. Oh, got to get back to former Mayor Al Cathey. He wants to know why in the hell you said there was a financial crisis when we're doing better than we ever have, and somebody needs to stand up in here and say so. Watch.
Moving forward with our financial budget and seeing how we are looking.
So there is no crisis. Is that the answer?
I am actually not sure what you're describing.
I'm just using your words and your phrase to describe a financial crisis. That's what you stated multiple times that the city was in.
I may have stated one time when I first came on to office and was trying to get access to our financials so that I could actually review those. And I still don't have.
So is there a crisis?
I think we're in a transition. How's that?
So it's just fabricated. I mean, it's not really a financial crisis. I mean,
Just like fabricating. I'm not the mayor, so maybe.
So you can retract those statements that there's not any financial.
I cannot because I do not know at this point until we get an audit.
Why was the stir created?
The problem is our audits are.
I'll tell you this, former Mayor Al Cathey really wants the council to deny this. Now, by financial crisis, I don't know anybody who has said that anybody has stolen anything, but I'm telling you, when you have $100 million of FEMA money, more or less, and your accountant up and quits, your city administrator ejects and hightails it out of here, your financial audit is late, and has been put off. And the bank statements haven't been reconciled in 2 months. And nobody's seen where the checks went or the credit card was spent. All you have are presentations. Yeah, and you still don't have those positions filled. That's a financial crisis. That's a municipal crisis for the city. Remember, this is the same mayor who last year got a raise because he was the CFO. He said, I'm the CFO. And the attorney wrote him an ordinance and gave them a raise. He got a bigger raise because the mayor's a CFO. The mayor makes more than the other administrators. Now, Adrian Welly, with his hand in his chin right there, his chin in his hand, that's Adrian Welly. He is saying, the 3 councilmen, they're all saying now that they are all the chief financial officer, that they are all one big CFO, that the CFO is the board and the board is the CFO. That's what Adrian Welly said. He did some research on it. But I'm going to tell you something. As an investigator, you see something very strange like this, like the former mayor insisting that somebody deny these allegations. You know, in a court of law, if you don't deny it, it is admitted. He wants a denial. He wants somebody to say that, no, there's not a financial crisis in this city during the time I was there and after I left. This is let's just say this is an unusual public comment period. And it might just be because and it may turn out, and I'll be the first one to turn on the mic and tell you, it may just turn out that Al Cathey was beyond reproach when it came to integrity. Already Adrian Welly has said that he's beyond reproach. He's said his next time he runs for office, integrity is number 1. That's what he said. Working together is number 2. And then 3 days later, he walked out and went on strike until his demands were met. But I don't want to get into that right now. True story. But it could be that what we have here is just an indignant former mayor who took such good care of the city's finances as the CFO, that he doesn't want his name dragged through the mud. And nobody's accusing anybody of anything. What everybody's saying is, we want to see the invoices. We want to see the checks and you know what we want to see. But it is very interesting that he is demanding somebody up here better give me the denial. Deny that the city's in a financial crisis. That's why I'm here. Now, soon after, he's going to leave and slam the door.
Are behind. We actually are currently 2 months behind on even reconciling our bank statements. So it's hard to tell where we're at right now.
Steve will agree with that? It's hard to tell. I mean, there's not a crisis, there's not a crisis. That's all there's what's going on in this city about the financial crisis that has been manufactured evidently, I think needs to be, somebody needs to stand up and say, hey, we're not in a crisis.
I hope we're not.
What?
I hope, I'm at the table, and I hope we're not at this crisis and I know what you said, I hate to say anybody said something, but that was said at this table, but I don't believe that. Because I was here. I don't think we are. I don't think we're going into financial crisis.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's
that's for me.
That's
I think we're solving. We got money in the bank, and we got money that's making interest. I mean, I think we're in good shape.
And we have more money than we've ever had in the bank.
Yeah, and I haven't seen anything that could prove differently than that. So I really think we're in good shape as a city.
All right. All right, so that's the first clip I want to show you. I got another doozy. The next one's even better, I think. The clip I'm going to show you, is even better. Oh boy, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna do that, and then we'll look at the WMBB stories. Wait till you see how they covered all this. WMBB to the rescue. man. All right, I'll show you that. Let me pull up the next. What I'm going to show you now is how the Mexico Beach City Councilman reacted. This is a short video. Yesterday, when Mayor Miller and Councilwoman Linda Hamilton said what we really want around here is a forensic audit. I'll show you that in just a moment.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777. All right, let's get right to it. You're going to love this one. This was also yesterday at the same meeting. This is yesterday at the budget meeting. Oh my goodness, this is hot. All right, here we go. This is when it's going to get right to it. All right, there's Linda Hamilton. She's new. The two new people are the ladies, the mayor who beat Al Cathey, and Linda Hamilton. And Linda Hamilton is just, and boy, watch the reaction here. She's just saying, look, we're going to need a forensic audit here because, damn, nobody can see the invoices. Everybody only gets reports. Look at the report. Look at the report. Listen to the experts. All right, let's get right to it. Oh, this is really hot.
We haven't addressed too, a lot of citizens felt like we should do a forensic audit. I don't think we put anything in the budget about that, and it's still a concern. And do we need to go in that direction?
I think just getting our regular.
I think at a previous meeting, Adrian, I believe you thought we needed a forensic audit.
I don't think we need one at all, but I'll support
but
it
you
if it
did
makes
at one
us done.
time, yeah.
No, I don't think we need it, but
Lisa,
I'll
do you have a
support it.
note of that? Maybe Lisa would have that note.
Okay,
So let me answer that question for you. I really think that I would support a forensic audit
Okay.
too, based on what was being put out about people at this table. I would support it. I would not support it on needing a regular audit, just, hey, let's do a forensic audit because we want to.
Okay, we know
But
there's-
based on what was being said to people, and you gotta understand that, Ms. Hamilton, I mean,
My
they were
concern,
accusing
and I
people
think I
of
still
stuff they
had the
didn't do.
floor. My concern is
You don't-
there
you
has
don't
been
have-
about
Excuse
$100
me.
million that
Point
has
of
come
order,
to the city.
please. Point of order. Okay, so let's back up and finish your statement, and then Mr. Wolf will come to you. Go ahead.
We're not attacking anybody personally here. The concern was the amount of money that has come through the town, the FEMA money. You know, that is a concern to everybody. That's a lot of money. So if we did a forensic audit, that would clear it one way or the other. And those who are concerned, it could be a done thing.
Have you requested or,
We have talked, go ahead.
have you requested a report to see where all that money went?
How can we trust the report for sure? We're even behind in the audit.
Well, looking at the report first and then seeing where the money went, I mean, then you have questions to ask, but this is a, we spend the money and then FEMA pays us back. It's not we're getting money in.
There's a lot of concern from a lot of people about our money. I think a forensic audit would be justified, and I'd like to see that in the budget.
Oh, and by the way, if you agree, look what I've made for you. A forensic audit Mexico Beach hat, and that's where you can get it. I'm trying to sponsor my own efforts here. The hats aren't cheap. You got me on that, but they're nice. And you're supporting a hell of a cause. So if you'd like to support my efforts and make a statement, I hope you'll go to berniestore.etsy.com. It is so easy, berniestore.etsy.com. That's how you can support the show and actually get something to make a statement. Mexico Beach Forensic Audit, there's other stuff there as well. I want to go back and show you a couple of things.
Table.
Okay. All right. I noticed a couple of things here I want to share with you. First of all, the guy with his arms folded, that's the vice mayor. That's Richard Wolf. Richard Wolf is pretty volatile. About 2 months ago, he slammed his fist on the table and yelled at Michelle Miller and said, "Didn't you look up your job description? You dumb broad." Now, I made up that part. He didn't say dumb broad, but he pounded the table and he yelled at her. Nobody asked Al Cathey if he knew that he was the CFO because he got a raise last year for being the CFO. Now they all say they're all the CFO. We're all the CFO. Nobody has extra responsibilities. All right. So watch what he does here when Councilwoman Hamilton has the floor and says, "I believe I still have the floor." He's going to lean into her and let her know, "Lady, I'll send you off to Tallahatchie." No, not Tallahatchie. Where is it that they would send crazy women to? Chattahoochee. I think that's what I think that's what he's saying here when he leans in. Watch how pissed he gets, the vice mayor. When she says, "I think I still have the floor," he leans in like, "Why are we not sending these broads to Chattahoochee?" I mean, he's about 50, 60, about 60 years late. He's mad about it. But watch this, man. Well, this is amazing how they act toward these ladies.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we need it,
Lisa,
but I'll
do you have a
support it.
note of that? Maybe Lisa would have that note.
Okay, so
Let me
Watch this.
answer that question for you. I really think that I would support a forensic audit too, based on what was being put out about people at this table. I would support it. I would not support it on needing a regular audit, just, hey, let's do a forensic audit because we want to.
Okay, we know
But
there's-
based on what was being said to people, and you gotta understand that, Ms. Hamilton, I mean,
My
they were
concern,
accusing
and I
people
think I
of
still
stuff they
had the
didn't do.
floor, my concern is
You don't-
there
you
has
don't-
been about $100 million that
point
has
of
come
order,
to the city.
please. Point of order. Okay.
Damn, it was so much easier to send women to Chattahoochee before they got a hold of the gavel. Do you know that? They get a gavel and now we can't tell them to shut up. I think I still have the floor. That really pissed him off. And I do want to say this. Adrian Welly there with his chin, well, now his nose is in between his two fingers there. Adrian Welly, he's the one that knows the most about all the finances. I know because he says so all the time. So Adrian Welly, the councilman there, he said about 3 weeks ago, that it was when he read that paper. Do you remember he came in? It was right after he walked out of the meeting. Remember when he went on strike? He came back from strike and his demands were met and he read that paper. Remember that? And on it, he said, "I've got more integrity and I got to use integrity as one of my pillars next time I run for office." And he said, "We need to work together and we need to listen to the people." And then you had 176 people sign a petition that they did not want to impact the wetlands that they're building single family homes on, 10 acres and half of it's wetlands. And they're going to impact the wetlands. And 176 people, there are only 700 people voted. It's a small town. 700 people voted or so in the last election in April. 176 people signed a petition, said, "Please do not impact the wetlands. It's important to our ecology here." And right after he read that, right after Adrian Welly read, "We got to listen to the people and work together," he stormed out because there was disagreement. So he led a strike. Jerry Smith followed him. And when 176 people out of 700 voters said, "Please don't impact the wetlands," he voted for the developer. I mean, remember this. And then coordinates all these skits where the director of his nonprofit that he and his wife are part of the board, the director of the nonprofit Four Seasons Disaster Relief comes up and says Adrian Welly she should have said my treasurer for our nonprofit, but everybody pretends to be ordinary citizens in this play, in this theater that they put on. It's really a charade. I'm telling you, there's too much effort here to keep the invoices and the checks and the credit card receipts and to find out how much money. And, damn, I wish we could, I need to save some time on this stuff. I mean, it's so much coming up. I mean, maybe Adrian could just send me an email and say, this is how much I got from the city. I've got this many LLCs. I mean, there's 2 pages. I don't remember how many businesses and nonprofits Adrian Welly has, but there's 2 pages of them on sunbiz.org. He's got pages and pages of LLCs and nonprofits, like 5 or 6. I believe he's a real estate broker. He's got like 5 or 6 homeowner associations. And all I'm trying to say is, did any of these receive any money from the city? Directly or indirectly? Was it appropriate? Was it legal? Sometimes it's not appropriate, but legal. Okay, I just want to know these things. I'm not the only one. But instead, you can't find these things out, and asking them means you're Mr. Information. Do you know how stupid that is? And it's not going over well, especially with all the let's pretend make believe. I'm just a regular resident. You're really on the planning board. Let me show you that. All right, let's watch the end of this though, because I think the last 20 seconds is so interesting. Watch the body language really closely. Okay, watch this.
So let's back up and finish your statement, and then Mr. Wolf will come to you. Go ahead.
We're not attacking anybody personally here. The concern was the amount of money that has come through the town, the FEMA money. That is the concern to everybody. That's a lot of money. So if we did a forensic audit, that would clear it one way or the other. And those who are concerned, it could be a done thing.
Have you requested
We have talked. Go ahead.
Have you requested a report to see where all that money went?
I can trust the report for sure. We're even behind in the audit.
Well, looking at the report first and then
body language,
seeing where the money went. I mean, then you have questions to ask. But this is a we spend the money and then FEMA pays us back. It's not we're getting money in.
There's a lot of concern from a lot of people about our money. I think a forensic audit would be justified, and I'd like to see that in the budget.
All right, enough of that. Goodness gracious. But if you want to support my efforts and get a hat, could you imagine if people start wearing forensic audit Mexico Beach hats? They're nice hats too. I know they're pricey, but we're trying to keep the Liberty Lounge going. Really. So if you want one, and if you have a suggestion for a hat, I'll make it. All right. Oh yeah, the WMBB story. Are you ready for it? Are you ready? Seriously. All right, let's just do it. Future projects underway in Mexico Beach. Let's see how they frame this at the budget meeting. WMBB to the rescue. They've got a lot of FEMA money. It's all been very well handled. They don't have a pier yet. But where did all the money go? Where did $75 million go? I don't know a lot about this, but just tell me if this sounds right to you. Here we go. All right.
Mexico Beach was devastated. As they work to rebuild, the city council is making plans for leftover FEMA funding. They met tonight to discuss projects that need to be completed. News 13's Bailey Nichols is live in our studios tonight. Bailey, how many projects does the city need funding for?
Amy, there are 3 projects right now that the city council wants to get started, but they still need approval from FEMA. The devastation of Hurricane Michael can still be seen in Mexico Beach. The small beach town was destroyed when the Cat 5 hurricane passed through in 2018. Council members are hoping to find funding for future projects. At Tuesday night's meeting, they discussed the whole process and even brought in an engineering consulting firm to elaborate.
Well, FEMA, like a lot of people don't know the process. I didn't know the process. And I had talked to Ryan before about the processes of FEMA money and how it is obligated, and learned all those terms he talked about tonight. And we thought it would be a good idea for him to come and let everyone know how that operation works.
Ryan Wiedemann of the Atkins Disaster Consulting Firm was hired immediately after Hurricane Michael. His job was to manage the reimbursement process for FEMA and the Florida Department of Emergency Management money.
There's been some concerns about where $100 million has gone, a little misinformation on that I thought this was important to clarify and to help us move forward and show our residents and promote transparency where we've come and how far we've been and what 5 years looks like.
With 100,
everyone know how that operation works.
Ryan Wiedemann of the Atkins.
Let's take one more look at Adrian Welly here. See, Adrian's concerned about the misinformation. That's the reason that we don't want you to see the checkbook, the credit card receipts, and a detailed transaction statement and the invoices. That's the reason that we don't really necessarily want you to know how much the city has given to nonprofits, how much the city has given to stores that are owned by members of the board. Yeah. Just misinformation is all. So we're going to bring out more reports and more experts to clear it up. I'm not an FBI agent, obviously, but I look at body language.
Atkins Disaster Consulting Firm was hired immediately after Hurricane Michael. His job was to manage the reimbursement process for FEMA and the Florida Department of Emergency Management money.
There's been some concerns about where $100 million has gone, a little misinformation on that I thought this was important to clarify and to help us move forward and show our residents and promote transparency where we've come and how far we've been and what 5 years looks like.
With $100 million in obligated funds from FEMA, $75 million went towards canal dredging.
I think it's important to talk about where
what? So like 70% of the money, because it's more than, they're saying it's like 110 million, I guess. 75 million went to canal dredging? I don't know. I look, that could be a great deal. Maybe that's exactly where 75 million should have went. And I don't know yet, but I'm just saying that if that makes sense, please fill me in so that I can let that go. Because I'm thinking, whew, that sounds like a lot.
Where we've come,
Listen.
It's not been 5 years or what 5 years looks like.
With $100 million in obligated funds from FEMA, $75 million went towards canal dredging.
I think it's important to talk about where we've come. It's not been 5 years, or we're coming on 5 years in October. I think it's important to note how far we've come compared.
By the way, 5 years is the statute of limitations if there were any crimes. Now, one thing that's interesting about Adrian Welling, it's important that you know this. He is arguing that it's pretty much impossible to misappropriate FEMA money because it's a reimbursement, see? And since it's a reimbursement, you got to jump through a lot of hoops, and there's a lot of I's that are dotted, T's that are crossed, agencies that are involved. So, I mean, you don't misappropriate FEMA money. It doesn't happen. Now, at the same time he's saying this, 2 people went to prison for stealing FEMA money. Former city manager Michael White reported to prison a week or 2 ago, and the contractor Mickey White reported to prison about a week or 2 ago. And they've got restitution. Poor Mickey White might have to pay back nearly $5 million, depending on how much FEMA reimburses. But the smartest guy in the world here says if FEMA's reimbursing you, you can't, there's no way to. No way to have any funny business. They just put 2 guys in prison for it. There's all kinds of ways. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover, but there's like 150 ways to steal from FEMA. And probably 151 ways, if you got the right connections, to get protection and cover your ass on that and get away with it, I've learned. There's a lot of ways. But anyway, he points out it's been 5 years. That's the statute of limitations.
I think it's important to note how it's important to talk about where we've come.
It is important. But I want you to know something about statute of limitations. I've learned so much over this last few years about all this stuff. So if you commit a federal crime, most crimes, right? Not murder, that's not a federal crime. But if you commit a crime, there's a 5-year statute of limitations, okay? So somebody, they say, oh, holy smokes, in early 2017, we got you on this. Well, I'm free as a bird, baby. Statute of limitations. Son of a, the feds are pissed. But unless, you ready for this? Unless you're a government official. If you're a government official, it extends to 2 years after you leave office. Let me give you an example. Today, there's a new superintendent of schools. The Governor DeSantis, just appointed Mark McQueen, General Mark McQueen, who resigned as the city manager in Panama City the day after Doc Rowan got elected. City Manager McQueen resigned, and the theory was that the establishment wanted him to replace Bill Husfeld. And he did. Governor DeSantis appointed, so our new superintendent of schools is General McQueen, Mark McQueen. And he's got his hands full because in 2020, they were served a subpoena by the FBI for federal corruption. Now, that's almost 5 years gone by from the hurricane. But for example, and I'm sure Bill Husfeld didn't do anything wrong, but if he did, his statute of limitations is going to go 2 years longer, 2 years from the time he's out of office. So if you've got a public official that did something wrong in 2010 and they're still in office, they're on the hook. Just so you know how that works, okay? It extends for government officials. Okay, back to Adrian Welly telling us about 5 years.
It's not been 5 years, or we're coming on 5 years in October. I think it's important to note how far we've come compared to other communities that have faced disaster of the magnitude we're at. And we heard it tonight when he said that we are ahead of schedule.
Street debris cleanup and other emergency work. The city is still waiting on FEMA for the other $25 million. $10 million is approved. That leaves $15 million yet to be acquired and approved. The money will be used to rebuild the jetties, the police and fire complex, and the Mexico Beach Pier, where they hope to start building by the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025.
All right. That's a bunch of good news. From they brought the Adrian Welly brought in the FEMA consultant to tell everybody where the money went in big chunks. But you still got the two, though. You got the mayor and you got the other city councilwoman. They're saying we see the big chunks. We see that $75 million went to dredging, but what we kind of want to see are the specifics, right? Because in Lynn Haven, it was like $5 million to ECS. That all got approved. All gets approved. All kinds of officials approved that. All kinds of agencies. Tetra Tech, a consulting firm that came in and housed, got an office right inside Panhandle Engineering. They're working together. Oh my God. I don't have time. I just don't have time to tell and show you everything. You say, Bernie, you're acting so dramatic like you've seen things. They're public records now. Judge Walker, the 302s, the FBI memos, the interviews under oath, the sheriff's statements, investigation notes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So to tell me that since FEMA's reimbursing, there's no way to misappropriate the funds. Oh my gosh. It's the acting, the walking out of meetings, the mayor coming in, demanding somebody deny it. The interviews, WMBB to the rescue, clown car is in town. All right. So, one more. This is the one where they have watch and tell me if WMBB is being honest. They interview a guy. I don't know the guy. The guy's probably a great guy. This is not an insult of this guy. So the guy that you're going to see in the interview by WMBB, I didn't know who it was because he was off camera. And he was arguing that residents don't want lower property taxes. As a matter of fact, we want to pay high property taxes because there are a lot of services that we want. And there's not a lot of businesses in Mexico Beach to get it from the tourists. Until we figure that out, we want to pay higher property taxes. Okay, we got some trash trucks and stuff we're going to need for all of the new apartments that are being sold by the local real estate agents there. Okay? So understand and respect the argument. Disagree, but respect the argument. Well, they interviewed the guy at the end, and it turns out he's not just a resident. He's a very important guy. He's on the planning board. Now, if I'm WMBB, I think that I have an obligation to tell everybody, just like there are a lot of concerned residents that show up and express themselves. But if you're on the planning board, WMBB should introduce you as so-and-so with the planning board, right? Watch this. Part of the skit. Part of the skit. Here we go.
They're trying to figure out their budget for the 2024 fiscal year. At this morning's budget workshop, they discussed several items that must remain in the budget and a potential millage rate decrease. As News 13's Courtney Evans tells us, some residents are actually against that idea.
Some items are an absolute must for the city of Mexico Beach to allocate funds to in their 2024 fiscal year budget.
Such as new staff to address growth, a new sheriff's deputy and firefighter midway through the year. We were very fortunate to secure $500,000 from the state of Florida for a new fire truck. And then probably most importantly, figuring out what we're going to do in the future in terms of a new garbage truck.
That new garbage truck was a hot topic at Tuesday's budget workshop meeting. With hundreds of new residential places being built, it will add extra work for the sanitation crews.
They're going to have to get more garbage trucks, and I think it was like $280,000 a garbage truck. And they're going to need 2 or 3 of them in the next couple of years. And just trying to get that money is really hard. And they're going to need 2 or 3 of them in the next couple of years.
Budget workshop meeting. With hundreds of new residential places being built, it will add extra work for the sanitation crews.
They're going to have to get more garbage trucks, and I think it was like 200.
All I'm saying is this gentleman should say Mexico Beach Planning Board member. That's all. Okay. Because that puts a whole different paint job on things. Okay.
$80,000 a garbage truck. and they're going to need 2 or 3 of them in the next couple of years. And just trying to get that money is really hard.
The council is considering a 10 to 20% sanitation tax increase and an 11% increase for water and sewer. The millage rate may be lowered.
5.9999 will be our ceiling. We cannot go above it, but we are shooting to get to 5.75.
One resident thinks lowering may not be the best option for the city.
Right now, we only have one sit-down restaurant and a...
Wait. It's not one resident. It's a planning board member. Planning and zoning board member Lee Elsie was not available, but this planning board member is available. Why is WMBB saying this? Why are they telling you that this is the government talking to you?
And a couple of small shops, and that's it. There's no money coming into this city besides taxpayer money, the people who live here. So they really need to figure out how to come up with more money in the future.
City officials will continue finalizing the budget between now and the October 1st deadline. In Mexico Beach, Courtney Evans, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
All right. First of all, well, that's great news. 16 people on YouTube listening. I don't have very many people on YouTube. If you want to make an old man happy, if you went to YouTube and subscribed, it's free. Subscribe to the Bernie Thompson Show on YouTube. I'd be so happy. I need to get more awareness there so I can get this information out better. Yeah, most people watch on Facebook, but that's great. YouTube, the Bernie Thompson Show. Subscribe. Smash the like button. I said it for you. Like Tim Cast. No way. No way. It couldn't have been, Jody. No way. He's clear. He's a gentleman, and I'm not going to make any assumptions. But maybe I'll ask him if he said that. Let's see here. Ooh, you ladies are so lucky. So lucky it's not 60 years ago. Because I'm telling you right now, we wouldn't be tolerating this kind of stuff. You loudmouth women. With gavels even. What the hell? All right, let's see. They really need to figure it out. I mean, really need to figure it out. Bad liability to take a look at the invoices. All right, let's see. I'm gonna wrap it up. Goodness, almost an hour on here blabbing. But I want you, so tomorrow, because this is what they're gonna say. The people in the play, in the theater, the ones in this big act, right? The lady that goes up there and says, Adrian Well is so honest, but she doesn't tell you she's the director of the nonprofit. He's the treasurer, and his wife is the secretary of the nonprofit, the disaster relief nonprofit. She pretends she's just a resident, right? Then WMBP interviews a resident that's really on the planning board. You get all the theatrics. The mayor coming in there just absolutely irate, livid, because somebody's talking about a financial crisis. Not just because we haven't reconciled the bank statements in 2 months. I haven't been there in 2 months, former Mayor Al Cathey would say. And if I was there now, we'd have a damn audit. What else? Yeah, you might not see the invoices, though. But, there ain't no financial crisis. It only happened when you were here. I mean, if you haven't seen former Mayor Al Cathey go up there, that's worth watching. Because what I see is not so much, well, here's what I see. Faux outrage and a demand that the men on that city council deny that there's a fiscal crisis. Because we don't need any feds looking around in here. You saw what happened in Lynn Haven. It didn't happen at Panama City Beach or Bay County Commission or Mexico Beach, but, not everybody has that kind of protection. But one thing I believe is this, and I know a lot about it. You wouldn't believe how much I know about it. Some of you know, and you know why I'm making these faces. But I will say this. sometimes protection doesn't last forever. Sometimes it's a snapshot in time. And when I see some of the things that I'm seeing lately, and not just the things I've shown you, I'm seeing some things. It indicates that there are some bigwigs who are nervous again. And I don't know why. I mean, I have ideas. I'm looking over the hill. But you never know. And if you were somebody in Bay County, because we know it, when the FBI tells when the FBI tells a judge in 2021, because the FBI wanted a search warrant on GAC contractors, and the FBI told a judge, we've got evidence, we've got testimony that Bay County is more corrupt than New Jersey and New Orleans, and they start naming names, and then it gets sealed and accidentally unsealed, and you see behind the curtain, holy sh! It's not unreasonable that we think maybe there was a lot of stuff going on. And, I mean, I could go on, and I have before, and I won't right now. Yeah, there are a lot of big shots who have reason to worry and to resign and retire and get out of here. It's almost 5 years, as Adrian Welly points out. But the clock's still ticking until you quit, until you resign. Like when you see early resignations and early retirements, it might just mean people are tired and want to move on, get out. But also, it's just something you stick a pin in it. You say, I got to remember that. That's all. When you're an investigator, when you're a snoop, when you're snooping in the public interest, which is the job of journalists, by the way. Did you know that? You say, Bernie, that's not either. Yeah, it is. It is. If you're a mechanic, I don't tell you how to fix cars. Right? Being a good journalist, being a watchdog, it's a lot about snooping in the public interest, though. Not about who you're visiting in the other town when the lights go out. That's not snooping in the public interest. Not about talking about families, but about talking about businesses and nonprofits that might have relations with city funds. Yeah, that's something of interest, okay? Never going to talk about a side piece. I'm just not. Oh, I get a lot of offers though. Hey, Bernie, did you know about this? I'm like, holy smokes. What? Oh man, I learn a lot. But I wouldn't. Public trust is important. But you say, Bernie, you're getting personal. No, I'm not. You are, but I'm not. I want to know about the public interest. And so I'm snooping in the public interest. And they're not going to keep the CFO of Mexico Beach out of the invoices for much longer. Well, Bernie, right now we've got some training to do because the software is very complicated. It's very complex. We got some bugs we're trying to work out. Now, several staff members, they can see it, but, bad liability if the CFO sees it. I'll say. I'm just telling you that those invoices and those credit card receipts and those checkbooks, they're not going to be kept out of view for long. And I can't wait to see. Follow the money, they say all the time. Follow the money. I got to get out of here. All right, I'll read the rest of the comments. I'll read the rest of these comments as soon as I can. Thank you so much. really, thank you so much for being with me. And if you want to support my efforts, I hope that you will, because it's I'm not complaining, but it's not easy. Here it is again, bernie.etsy.com. That's where you can go to get your merch, especially I got to save the golf PCB hat with a dolphin too. All right. Don't go there and say, Bernie, I can get a better deal elsewhere. No, you can't. Those aren't items you can get elsewhere. They're not cheap, but it's to support the cause. Also, if you're not signed up for the free Substack, every Friday, if you don't ever want to miss a show or a post, say, Bernie, I don't have time to watch all the show, but at least every Friday, you'll see everything, watch every show, see every Facebook post in an email. It's free. There's a way to support me if you want, but it's free. All you do is enter your email. That's it. 20 seconds. Bernie.substack.com. You are going to be happy on Friday evenings when you get that. Bernie.substack.com. All you do is put in your email. And I finally want to thank, of course, the Unknown Patriot for your support. Every one of the sponsors, the Unknown Patriot, all of you who support on Patreon. You know, I couldn't do this without every single one of you. Thank you to the Unknown Patriot. And with that, I'm out, and I will see you soon.